So let's start building our app menu. If you go to the Ionic documentation, just look for the Ionic menu down here. And here they have some snippets that you can use to create. I'm just gonna copy this first one in here, and I'm gonna replace with this div. Now I'm just gonna remove this header, and I'm gonna leave the content and the ion list in there. We don't need the menu ID. The menu ID is if you're using more than one menu. And the site, you can choose either start or end. This is the site which you will open. Now let's insert the app menu in our app.tsx. You can add it anywhere inside your Ion app component. So app menu. Now in order for this to work, because you're going to be adding some links over here, we need to tell the Ion menu components where we want the content of it to be displayed. And that will be inside our router outlet. To do that, you just need to give it an ID over here. And we need to specify the content ID of it on the Ion menu. Content ID main. Without this, the Ion menu wouldn't know where to display the content. So let's take a look on the browser, how it looks like. I'm just gonna start my server. So if you pull from the side over here, we have our menu items over there. Now if you go on a mobile, you can open this interface with Ctrl-Shift-I. And here you can see if you push from the corner, you find it there. There are a few other options that you can add. If you scroll down here on the documentation, there's a type which defaults to the overlay, the one we saw in here, that the content is behind, and we have this shadow. The type push will push the content outside of the viewport. So if you go to the app menu and add a type, push, here no component, it's gonna be pushed aside instead of being the front. So I'm just gonna leave it overlay. I find it nicer. And also we need to add a button for users to be able to toggle the sidebar open and close. So let's add one menu to the home page. Here I'm gonna change this h1 tag, and I'm gonna add an Ion header. Ion header is just like a nav bar. You stay at the top of the page, and they also have a toolbar. A toolbar works similar to the HTML nav element, but it has some styles that we can use to place our components. So Ion title, and here, for example, if you use a Ion buttons array, and we add the Ion menu button, we can specify where we want these buttons to be, either at the end or at the start of the menu. So I'm gonna put it on the right hand side. If you do start, will be before the Ion title. This Ion menu, you can find the documentation here as well. Ion menu button, and that's just a component to toggle the menu open and close. So if you reload, you're gonna get this arrow of style undefined. Usually you don't need to import Ionicons if you're using an Ionic project, but I find that every time I add an icon, I always need to reload the server. So I'm just gonna start my server again. Now if you go back to our page, the error is gone, and we have our button over there. Now let's add some links to it. So here I'm gonna remove these buttons, and we're gonna be using this Ion item with a label and icons. So if you scroll down, we have icons and items. Just gonna copy this one, and I'm gonna place instead of this one here. I'm gonna use the home icon. It's gonna be start because I want it before the label. Home, and the Ion item, it takes a href, which will be the link to our homepage. You can also add an about. It's gonna put a person's head over there for now. So these icon names, you can find them in the Ionicons website, ionicons.com. Here they have all the icons you need, and you can just choose one and copy from here. So I'm gonna reload my page, and my icon should be there. If I click, I'm on about, and now the URL changed to about over there, and my page as well. So if I go to home, I'm back to home. But when you click on it, the menu doesn't close. So let's add one more component. And here on the menu, we have this Ion menu toggle, which you can wrap the link inside, and it's going to toggle it after we click. So on the Ion list, we can just do Ion menu toggle. So back in our page, as you can see, I have the styling problem again. I'm gonna restart the server. Now if I click, my menu closes after. So now let's just make this a little bit more dynamic, the menu. Back in my code, as you can see, I'm repeating myself over here. To fix that, we can create an array of links, and then just map that array into these components over here. So here at the top, I'm going to create a variable to hold that array. And here we're going to have an object with a title. First we have a home, URL, and an icon. That's for the icon name. Home. Now we just need to use this instead of the icons in here. Just gonna leave it one in there. So to do that, we need to use the JSX for JavaScript to use the curly braces. And now we can do this dot app pages and then map it into those components. So for each page, this is what differs from normal JavaScript. Usually you do an object, but in JSX you do a parenthesis. And here we just need to paste this component. So now we just need to add the content of the app page dynamically. Here to do the interpolation, you do p.url. And here, as I mentioned before, is the same as the string interpolation from JavaScript. So it's just without the $. The icon name, so p.icon, and the title, p.title. Now I can just remove these ones. I'm going back to my page. I still have both of them in there, and they work. So this is how you add a menu component. In the next one, we're going to create the tabs menu down here in the bottom on the tabs page.